Hi, Dan Kuschell here, founder of growthtofreedom.com, prosperitybasedliving.com, and Millionaire's Mindset. And if you're new joining us for the first time, thanks for being with us, whether you're seeing us on iTunes or YouTube or one of our sites. Today's episode is about helping you as an entrepreneur or business owner experience business breakthroughs, business growth breakthroughs, with one of the common challenges most business owners face, which is hiring. You know, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you go, I've got a lot of complexity right now, I've got a lot of overwhelm, I just need to hire another good person to help me, maybe be an assistant, or maybe it be in sales, or maybe it be in marketing, or something of that nature. How valuable would it be if I was able to give you a blueprint to be able to go out there and hire a rock star in whatever area you want? Would that be of value to you? You know, the reality is that I'm working with a particular client right now. We've been able to add 2 rock star salespeople. We've been able to hire a social media marketing expert. We've been able to hire a project manager, and we're in the process of hiring 2 executive assistants. And so we put together a simple blueprint that I'd like to share with you today to help you hire rock stars in your business so you can experience more freedom in your business, to work more on the business instead of in it, to be in a situation where you've got more simplicity and cut through a lot of the overwhelm that sometimes we experience as a business owner, right? So let me walk you through it. So we want to hire rock stars. Number 1 step to be able to do so is to make a decision. So you want to decide on what you want to hire for. It's really, really important, as simple as that sounds. You need to make a decision on what you want to hire for. Who do you want? That leads us to step number 2, is the who. And before we can identify who we want, I want to challenge you to think about who you are. And there's a lot of ways to be able to do this. I worked with a gentleman years ago. You see, I've been fortunate over the last 20 years in business. I started my first company when I was 22 years old. I think I've interviewed somewhere near over 20,000 people one-on-one or in small group settings. Over 20,000 people that I've interviewed will give you a lot of experience into what works, what doesn't work, what questions ask, what questions not to ask, and it starts with the who. The gentleman I work with, he says, Dan, one thing you've got to learn about interviewing and recruiting is that you will attract who you are, not who you want, if you're not careful. And so that's why we put together this simple blueprint. Number 1, you need to decide what you want. Number 2 is identify the who. Who do you want? But before you can identify the who you want, identify who you are. There's some great assessments to be able to identify, your strengths, your talents, what are called unique ability factors. There's a lot of different profiling systems that you can look into. One of the ones we love to use as choice was referred by Dan Sullivan of Strategic Coach and Joe Polish. And it's using a Kolbe assessment. That's Kolbe. A Kolbe assessment will help you identify how do you operate best naturally. What is it you're most gifted to do naturally? And there are other ones like DISC and several, you've got Wonderlic and so on. But I would recommend, you take a Kolbe to identify your strengths. There was a book I read after my divorce years ago called The 5 Love Languages. And essentially what the love languages talks about, that I think can be applied not only in personal relationships but also business, is you have a certain factor of characteristics and qualities. And then ideally when you're with a partner, there's qualities that they have that complement what you do. So in operating a business, you want to find people who have talents and strengths that complement what you do instead of overtake what you do. Because have you ever been in a situation where you butt heads with people? Well, part of it is you're probably very similar in a lot of ways. So you want to find that complementary. Which leads us to step number 3 in this. Probably the most critical thing you can do once you identify who you are, is to start to evaluate the people, number 1, maybe you already have on staff with a Kolbe or DISC assessment or so on. And then anybody that you bring through your company, you also take on the same approach to identify who they are. So that leads us to step 3. Is create a process. Because the biggest mistake that I see most companies make, and I've made it myself, is I've run 13 different companies approximately now. I've been able to consult and advise with dozens and dozens of companies. I've also, through our different programs, resources, and tools over the years, impacted hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. The biggest common mistake with hiring, and especially as you're looking to hire rock stars, is we make the mistake of hiring too fast. So I want to challenge you to adapt this philosophy and part of your process, which is the hire slow process. And so I've got a diagram of one that we've built. And again, this has been refined. It'll continuously be a work in progress. And over the years, we'll actually work to improve. But just like any skill set, there are certain fundamentals to put in place. So I'd like to reveal and show you my blueprint, the blueprint we're using in the companies that we consult and advise with. And ideally, this will be of value to you. So number one, when you identify and make a decision on what you're hiring for, you identify the who. What you'll want to do is create an ad. Essentially write an ad that identifies, the different characteristics and qualities you're looking for. Those qualities will be different. Those talents will be different. Those skills will be different if you're hiring for a personal assistant or an executive assistant or a social marketing media manager or a project manager or a sales representative or a sales manager. Again, every position will have its own type of ad that you would run. Ideally, based on your decision of what you want and the type of who you want. So that leads to the next thing. Once you run the ad, I want to challenge you to take them through a filter process. Essentially you want to find right fit type people. So you can create a certain type of survey or questionnaire that people fill out to ideally kind of show themselves in certain ways. And there's certain strategic questions that we ask. If you'd like to get access to a model that we've created, you can contact us through our website, and we'll send you an example of one that we've got in place not only for ourselves, but we also put in place for other companies. Once someone fills out the survey, those people, once they respond to the ad, fill out the survey, those are the only people we follow up with. So if someone just sends in a resume, we're not going to follow up with them. Usually we'll get a resume and a survey at the same time, which leads us to a next step. One of our next steps that we have candidates do is we require and recommend they send us a video describing to us why they feel they'd be an ideal candidate to work with our company. Number one, today with your phones, every phone that I know of has a camera on it. Most laptops, most computers have cameras, so it's a pretty easy process to do. And you're not looking for quality per se, unless you're hiring a video person or a video editor, but it's simply to identify some of the qualities and traits. Because here's a cornerstone. I'm going to get to the most important piece here in the hiring process that you're looking for in this. And it's a hidden secret that most people don't take the time to learn. But after a video, then what we do is we look for our candidates to be able to do a report. So, for example, if you're hiring for somebody like the social marketing media specialist we were looking for, we had them look at a book that's not affiliated to our organization, and we said, go check it out and send us a summary about it, essentially a cliff notes of what you got out of it. And you're looking for certain qualities. You're looking for, how well did they receive the information? How well do they present information? Essentially, because we know this is part of what they're going to be doing in their particular job. So we have them do a report. It could be, they could listen to a podcast and do a report on it. They could listen to a book and do a report on it. Or I shouldn't say listen to a book. I guess you could do that with audiobooks, but they could read a book and do that. So have them submit a report. If they do these 3 steps, and they meet a certain criteria, then the next piece that we're going to look to do is we'll do a phone interview. Usually a phone interview will be at about 10 to 15 minutes. We let them know we have multiple stages. We let them know right up front we have a slow hire process, and we're looking for right fit type clients. And we do a series of questions similar to the survey to see how congruent they are, how consistent they are with their answers in what they originally put together in that survey and also that video. So it says a lot when there is consistency and congruency. That leads us, if they make it through this step, then we look to schedule an in-person interview. And there's a lot of different questions that can be asked in in-person interviews, and I'll share a couple that we like to just throw out to people. Why are you looking for a new job? What are some, do you set goals? And if they say yes, and it doesn't matter whether they say yes or no, per se, it's just an evaluation, but most people will say yes, then we immediately follow that question up with what are your top 3 goals right now? And sometimes if they fumble around, it's apparent that they really probably don't set goals, which means they've kind of probably misled you to some degree, which is a good thing for you to know up front in advance before you'd ever bring someone on, right? Just little things like that. Another thing is, in your next job, what do you expect to earn? Now, usually in your ad, you will probably put some kind of a range of income that they could potentially be earning. So you ask them in an in-person interview, what do you expect to earn? And it's very interesting the type of answers that you get. And again, there are many different questions. For sake of time, I just want to focus on create a process. And whether you use our process and duplicate it or create some kind of a multi-step process to really sift, sort, and screen to find people that are predisposed, pre-qualified, pre-motivated to really be congruent in alignment with you, with your business, which leads us to the most important factor you're looking for in all of these steps, which is you're looking for people to have right fit values in your company. Because at the end of the day, what matters most is, are you in alignment with values? As the owner and entrepreneur of your company, you have a certain vision, a certain way you do things. And you want to have people who will, just absorb into those, or almost through osmosis come into your environment or come into your culture and adapt to what you do, where there isn't extra conflict because maybe you require your people to respond to text messages after normal hours. Well, guess what? That's a value situation. Or maybe you're committed to growth and learning and you expect your people to read books or listen to certain podcasts on a regular basis. That's a value proposition. And so if you end up identifying who you want, attracting through a process what you're looking for, now you can go out and hire rock stars. And it doesn't matter whether you're looking for someone in sales, doesn't matter whether you're looking for someone in operations, finance, accounting, any area, this process will work. So the key is, you're going to follow this 3-step formula. You're going to decide that you're going to hire rock stars, what that would look like, who you'd want to have on that, on your board of advisors, your A players, so to speak, what those qualities would look like, what those characteristics would be. Number 2 is the who. Who are you? Identify who you are. You can do this through a series of different assessments that are available out there, like Kolbe, DISC, Wonderlic, and many more. And then also, number 3 is create a process to hire slow, attract people through value proposition, essentially through alignment. Whether that's running an ad, survey, video, report, phone interview, in person. Ultimately, in each of these steps, what you're looking to do most importantly is, of course, the skill set they have, the talent they have for that particular job, but you want to make sure that their values are in line, because by hiring slow, you avoid the complexity of hiring fast. You know what? I've hired fast. And I've made the wrong choices. And I've had bad hires cost me hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've had bad hires steal money from me. I've had bad hires that cost me my business. I've had bad relationships with business partners because I didn't go through a filtering process like this, essentially cost me a business. And the reality is, life's too short, your business is too important to make the wrong choice. So put a process in place. As a business owner, I challenge you to put something in place, whether it's this or something that you build and create yourself. There's no limit to where you can go, because at the end of the day, when you've got a good hiring system, you find people better than you. And let me ask you this, where do you think you'd be in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now if you had a team of A players better than you? Would you be better off than you are today? Would you likely exponentially grow beyond where you are today? And would you be able to be focusing on the things you probably love more than anything, doing what you do in your business, than you are today? I say the answer is yes. So I challenge you, put it in place, and start to experience more business breakthroughs, more business growth, because you deserve it. It's your time. So take advantage, follow the steps, give us some feedback, let us know how it's working, what needs improvement, and we'll look forward to seeing you on another episode. Thanks for being with us. See you soon.